For those of you that may need to revisit it again, this is a pretty self-explanatory process. I don't anticipate that it will take the full hour, but I do want to take that opportunity to go through it with you all and then answer any questions that you have. So, I shared some resources with you all in the email that went out just to give you some background of the pre-college scholarship program. For those of you that are that may not be as familiar with the program, that is a program that serves grades 6 through 12 here in the state of Wisconsin for students that are eligible for free or reduced price meals. And we do a competitive grant cycle every 2 years. We are currently in the 21-23 grant cycle that will be closing out June 30th. And the proposals or applications that you all will be reviewing will be for the 23-25 grant cycle. We had a total of 21 colleges submit proposals for a total of 120 programs total across the state. It is a competitive process, which is why you all will be reviewing, and your review will serve as a recommendation to DPI in conjunction with the internal review to ultimately determine who the grantees will be for this competitive grant cycle. So with that, I'm going to do more of I have a document for a resource document for you all to have, but I'm going to follow that document and do a lot of screen sharing so you can actually see the process. We are not at the point where I am hoping for 25, 27 that we have a more of a system where you can just enter scores and it calculates and does all that. But I will forewarn you that there is a manual component to it with PDFs and things of that nature. So my word to you all in advance is do whatever is most comfortable for you in your, how you have to conduct the review in terms of obtaining the documents. And if you like to print them all off and, do go about that way, you certainly can. If you need me to do any editing or anything to make it a little bit more user friendly for you, I certainly will. But I just wanted to kind of give that disclaimer before we get started. Okay. So with that, to share my screen. Can you all see my screen? It should say 2325 DPI Precollege Scholarship Program. And I'm also going to actually drop this in the chat for your, actually drop it in the chat as well. And then I'll share. So if you want to follow, you can. Okay. So the purpose of this program, the Pre-College Scholarship Program, allows students eligible for free or reduced price meals from across the state to experience college life on the college campus while they are attending middle and high school. I am not going to go into our statutes at this point, but if you do want some reference, I'm a compliance gal myself, so I have that reference for you. And then also the Pre-College Scholarship Program guidelines that was also provided in the email that was sent out last week. So that is for your reference. The review process, just some notes to note prior to us going into the steps. Each reviewer will receive access to Kiteworks. Kiteworks is our secure network that we use here at DPI. It is just how we can exchange PII or personal identifying information of students. I know we don't have that right now, but just for the purpose of having one method to be able to exchange documents, that is what we will be using. And you will receive that access via email. So after we conclude the call today, I will invite you all to your respective folders in Kiteworks, and I will put the assignments of your programs that you'll be reviewing in there. I anticipate to be done with those by this evening, but no later than first thing tomorrow morning, and I will let you know when all those assignments are available. You'll also get a notification in your email letting you know that items have been added to your folder. This is just a really quick screenshot. I'm going to actually go to the site so you can see what it is that you will be reviewing. Your access level is downloader. The reason this is important is there's two phases. You're going to first download the documents for you to be able to review the materials, the application proposals that you'll be reviewing. And then upon confirmation of you downloading those successfully, Then at some point before you need to provide me with the scores, you're going to be changed to an uploader. And so I'll do that in between the period of now and when the review is complete. I'll basically confirm that you were able to successfully access and download all the documents that you need to review. And then I'll change you to an uploader status. The main reason for that is that's important is if you have an issue with downloading or something like that, just reach out to me because it's possible that I might have accidentally selected the wrong status for you or something, but it's a relatively quick fix. There is a fillable PDF version of the reviewer form and a flattened PDF version. I know everyone is at potentially different levels as it relates to how they work with PDFs or liking to work with PDFs. So there you will have the option, and I'll show you those in more detail to either use that fillable version and print a PDF or whatever, again, what works best for you and your flow. Or if you want to use a flattened version where you have to either edit the document or what have you, again, that is 100% dependent on what resources you have and what is most preferred by you. In terms of the steps, so the first thing that you would do is you're going to download the campus proposal from Kiteworks. So this is what Kiteworks looks like. You will not see all these folders that I have here. You will only see the folder that's this 23-25 pre-college scholarship program reviewers. And you're only going to see your name. You're not even going to see everyone else's. When you get the email, you will, I'm going to use you, Jennifer, as an example. You will have documents here as well. Okay. This is going to be where you ultimately will upload your completed review into this folder. But down here will be the programs and the description, the names of the name of the college, and that you will be reviewing, and that will be available here. What you'll do, and I'm just going to use an example from another folder, you're going to click on the document that's in there and you'll download it. You have a couple different ways you can click on the document itself. You can click on the three dots on the side and you can download. There's some different ways in terms of how you do that, but you will have that feature. And once you download it, it will be available for your review. So those documents will be uploaded here for your download and review. Each proposal, and I should really say application because the application consists of two parts. It consists of the actual application from the college, the individual pre-college program information form that will be reflected by the number of programs indicated on the application, and the certifications and signatures. So what that means is, this is my sample. Bear with me because I had it pulled up for you. Sorry, there it is. So this is a sample. It is a Qualtrics application. So this is a sample. I'm going to go through and show you what you'll see. But when you get the application, it's going to look like this. It's going to have this information for their knowledge. It's going to have the name of the campus, the project contact name. I will say this, if you learn that the person that is submitting this application, if there's a major conflict or anything that this is your sister or something like that, and you don't feel like you can give an unbiased review, please just reach out to me and I will just, make some adjustments in terms of what programs you'll be reviewing, okay? But the really important part here is that there will be a number on the application. There will be a number here. It will be one. It could be one program that they're submitting for a request for funding, or it could be multiple. The reason that number is important because that's the number of individual programs you should see. So if they have two here, that means that you're going to see like the main proposal application, which I'll show you, which is in essence a summary of all the programs that they're submitting, and it's going over like their abstract and what their marketing and recruitment plan. Like it's going in a very broad overview. And then they're going to go into the individual pre-college program information form, which is going to go into great depth and detail of the plan for that respective program. So that's what you'll see with each one that you review. Some of you may be reviewing one college. I actually have an ask for two volunteers in particular because we had a large number of applications or programs come through for two campuses in particular. But some of you will have one campus because they submitted several programs, and we want to make sure we're equitable in the review. I don't want two people looking at the same, like at the from two different perspectives and whatnot. So that's not the same score. Um, and some of you will have three or four campuses because they only had one or two programs that they submitted. So that will vary. But in this first section, you're going to see the abstract. And you see here that it's telling you, it's telling or asking for them to specifically, if they're funding for multiple or requesting funding for multiple programs, for them to briefly summarize the purpose and elements of each individual program. Again, that's because this is a summary. The assurances, this is very specific. This will show as a separate document for you because it's basically this is like a yes or no. They did it or they didn't. And if they didn't do it, they don't get it. Like it's really it's black and white. And this will be a document that where the grants office or whoever the administrator is at the campus level had to sign off that they agreed to the assurances of both the pre-college program and the state. You will see the budget. It has nothing to do with your specific review. This is more or less for any revisions that we will need to make at the conclusion of the review process, but you will see that document. You will see the statement of need. Again, this should be a summary of all programs that will be addressed or be submitted in this application, in the marketing and recruitment plan. You notice that that concludes that first portion. So this is the first part. When you see your documents, if you have UW-Madison, you're gonna see that, and then you're gonna see a ton of these. So for each individual program now from this point, you're going to see the name of the pre-college program, the contact information for the person that's actually running that program, and then really great detail of the program when they're running it. So you see here, it shows the cycles that are available, what type of program it is, residential versus non, contact hours, and then it's going to get into the description of the program, the goals and objectives of the program, the evaluation procedure of the program, and then the scholarship information, ultimately what they're requesting. Okay. Back to this document. And that was the sample. So again, this sample that I just showed you all, this is also here for your reference. You won't need it because you'll have the actual applications, but this is available. So then the proposal review itself, the purpose of this review is to score the college on the overall application, and it serves as a summary of all programs submitted. This will serve as a base score and will be added to all the individual program scores. So now we're going to get into your actual review and the documents you all will be using. So there's two different ways you can go about this. This goes back to that fillable or that flattened version. This is the flattened version. And what I mean by that, I clearly can't edit anything here. You would have to have either PDF, Acrobat or something of that nature to edit this. Or if you print it and handwrite it, I just ask that it's legible. But this is pertaining to this is pertaining to that first section. That is the campus. This is like, UW-Madison I'll use. They're submitting X amount of programs. They're giving a general overview of the abstract. They basically are saying, we, the campus, assert that we've seen all the programs that are going through. We've done our initial work, right, to say that we're good with this moving forward and meets all the objectives and goals. And we are certifying that this is a program that we feel has a need and that we should move forward with submitting for requests for funding. That basically is what this is about. When you look at these, it's a very slight difference between excellent, good, average, and unacceptable. I will say in this review, use your best judgment in identifying those differences. So for an example, if you're as you're looking at at the abstract, is the purpose clear and concise? Oh, you may be looking at generalizations. Well, one thing we tell the writers or the applicants, do not assume that anyone reviewing these programs knows anything about the program. So if it's not clear and concise, it's speaking to more of a historical and assuming that you know about the program. The only information you can use is what you have in front of you, not your knowledge of the program. But this would be, you would basically score these accordingly, and you would do that for each section of this first part, the proposal application section. The same thing for certifications and signatures. Remember, I said it's either yes or no. They either have it or they don't. You either have the certifications in your inbox or you don't have it. Statement of need. Have they provided explicit background data regarding the need for the program? Is there a clear link between the need of the program and the size, scope, and quality? This is really, again, it's really hard to put size, scope, and quality all in one metric, and I understand that. So you again use your best judgment. If you feel that there's one thing that is really strong, like really great explicit data, background data, but the size, scope, nor quality is really clearly defined, then you may give that a 2, even though they did give explicit background, but because we didn't have that other part, that may be why that's scored as a 2. The marketing and recruitment plan, again, that it's clearly described, ambitious, and will definitely reach the target audience. And you see kind of the difference between the plan utilizes 3 or more types of media, such as in-person presentations, social media, flyers, or mailings. This one's pretty easy to tell from what they write. And then last but not least, and you'll see this for all, you see there's a comment section. Do not feel obligated to write a thesis in all these sections. However, we are the state, this is public record, and it is open for public records requesting and feedback from any applicant. So should there be a score, if you give an average of 1, please give feedback, because we want to ultimately continue to support these programs one way or another. It is competitive, so we do have to follow a certain process, but we also want to make sure that we're supporting the programs in the state so they can know what they need to do for the future rounds, or if they don't get as much funding because of their score, that we're able to be coach and develop them accordingly in ways that they can work on that for the next grant cycle or any other grant that they choose to write for that matter. I'm going to pause here before we go into the individual. Well, yes, I'm going to pause here before we go into the individual programs. Is there any questions so far as to where we've gone to this point with this review? Okay. The other thing I want to point out is you see here that the most amount of points is 3, basically 4, 7, and 10. This is a total of 10 points. That's the base score that I was referring to. The reason that's really important is because this is the campus score. When you all put your score in this top right-hand corner, and that's basically this next step. Once you put the score in the top right-hand corner, we internally are going to add that base score to every individual program score. The reason that's important is because let's say 10 programs are being submitted. 5 of the programs may be through the roof, absolutely perfect score, but maybe 5 of the programs are in that midline or lower. We're adding that 10 because the campus or the college did their due diligence in the abstract and the marketing evaluation and their in their plan. They did what they needed to do to assert that they want that these programs are programs to be submitted. But when you went into the individual program review, that is where those specifics of those programs are being evaluated or being reviewed. And that's how we are basically averaging out those scores. So to recap that, you would take, and it will show it, the instructions will be in the email that you receive at the conclusion of this as well. You will put that score in this top right-hand corner. You could put it on this top one, this page 1, if you will. Just put it in the top right-hand corner, and then that's for this portion, okay? The second portion, very similarly, is now you're evaluating the individual program information. So this form right here, you may be completing 1 time, 5 times, 10 times, 15 times. It depends on how many programs. Again, I am going to ask at the conclude. There are 2 particular campuses that have a large number of programs that were submitted. I'm going to first ask if there's any volunteers that would be willing to take those on. If not, we will divide them accordingly. But with that being said, you ultimately will be completing that number of document or for this section, okay? In the same fashion, you're now going into a deeper dive of the program. You're reviewing the description of the program, that the proposal provides a clear and concise statement of the individual pre-college program's purpose, grade levels to be served, target numbers, all of that. And in the same way you saw before, these are scored accordingly. Same thing with the comments. You don't need to write, don't feel obligated because there's a space that you need to, go all the way through. But if there's something that really captivated you, please share, because this is information that we do have available for them to request. The second section is the goals and objectives of the program, that they're following, that they're utilizing the SMART technique, that the objectives are clear and concise, and they're logically related to the purpose of the program, is which your excellent score will be, in essence. Again, that will bring you to a total of 6 so far for this section. Then the fourth or the next section is the evaluation plan, that it speaks to how they're going to evaluate the program, how they're going to identify, because again, this is a 2-year grant cycle. So this is something that they're looking at in terms of improvements, best practices. Is that clearly written? Is there a measure? Does it clearly describe how they're gathering, analyzing, interpreting the data? Those are the things that you're looking for that excellence score, if you will. And then the final is either acceptable or not, that they have the per pupil scholarship amount provided. The contact hours and total amount requested is provided. All 3 have to be present to receive this point. If any one is missing, it would be a 0. So in the same fashion as the earlier section or the first section, this is a total of 3, 6, 9, 10 points possible. So if a campus, I've been using UW-Madison. So if UW-Madison had a whatever score they received for that proposal application, that's on the top right-hand corner of that first page or that first section, then you're going to put the score of this section in this top right-hand corner. So if they had for one program, they had for the campus itself a 9, and then they had an 8 for one program here, a 7 for another program, a 10, a 6, so on and so forth, that's the number that you will put on the top here, and we would tally that internally. And this here just shows, again, for the individual program information review, that you're looking at pages 3 and 4 of the reviewer criteria form will be used for this review. Now, there is that fillable document. I will provide that to you. However, the fillable document is all 4 pages. So if you use that one, you will need to separate that out. So for an example, if you fill out everything, you will need to print to PDF, or if you're printing it, whatever way you're using it. And if you need more support in that area, you can contact me offline. But that is the only difference between the fillable PDF and the flattened document that I just went over with you. The final steps would be upload the review forms. So upon review completion, you're going to go back to that Kiteworks, and everyone will have a folder that looks like this that says review complete. You would click on that folder, and you would add a document, and you would upload. It doesn't show it right now, but you'll have it doesn't have it because I don't have it right here, but you'll be able to upload this document, upload a file, and it would go into this folder. And again, each of you will receive that member invite into your respective folder with the assigned programs. Once it will be by this evening, no later than early morning, but you'll have those assignments and you'll get the notifications of those assignments. Some notes in your review. Please be objective in your review. I know all of you completed the conflict of interest form. We talked about that briefly as some of you were coming on. My only ask is if you identify at any point that there is any reason that you may not be able to give an unbiased review. It happens. Like I said, we're a big field, but a small, but a small community at the same time. So understood, there's adjustments that can be made. We have 21 colleges, 120 programs. There's things that can be adjusted. Reviews should be based on the information provided in the application only and not include any prior knowledge you have of the college or program under review. If your kids go to the people program and you think it is the reason, that you can't go off of that. If they don't speak to the richness of the program or speak to the elements that we are asking for in the program, that is how you should be reviewing it. We encourage you to provide as many comments as possible to support your score. This helps when providing feedback to the applicants at the conclusion of the competitive review process. Again, although this is competitive, we are still a community and these are still programs that are being offered. Some may be offered independent of any DPI funding. Some of them are requesting funding from DPI just to add more seats. And so in order for them to further flourish in their programming, we still want to support that. And we do follow up with the applicants accordingly and provide an option for them to request any feedback that was provided in the review. This is the fun part. There are 2 colleges with over 20 programs submitted. In efforts to keep the campus under the same reviewer, I am asking for 2 volunteers for these colleges. This will be the only college you will review, and all other reviewers will have anywhere from 9 to 12 programs, which may include multiple colleges. So I understand that is a lot. Again, that is strictly, so I'll give some insight on that. The 2 campuses that have that number of programs, and it can be disclosed, it's not a secret, is UW Milwaukee and UW Madison. UW Milwaukee and Madison both have an extension or had an additional campus at one point, which they merged. So UW Milwaukee also is housing UW Milwaukee Waukesha programs, which they in the past have independently run. UW Madison is now housing UW Madison Waukesha extension programs, which used to formerly be run separately. Again, in efforts for the same person to be reviewing that in a consistent and equitable manner, I would like to keep the programs together, but I do understand the amount of work that is and would, offer it first as volunteer if anyone would be willing. And if not, then I will make the necessary adjustments. Thank you. Jennifer and Katie are volunteers. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I will assign those accordingly. And then, like I said, the rest of them will be between 9 and 12. Reason being, because again, the next amount of programs is, I think 12 is the next highest one or something around those lines. And so that's where that 9 to 12 may vary. And some of you may have 4 or 5 campuses. So because you're having to kind of have that pause, if you will, and having to review more of that first section, then I'll assign that accordingly. So it's still equitable in terms of the review that you have to do. That was a lot. So I'm going to pause now. Again, it will be, I'll share all these documents to you all via email. The link is in the chat for that resource document. But additional from that, does anyone have any questions or want me to revisit any area? Pretty self-explanatory. We easy peasy. Okay, well, I don't have that. That is it. The next steps are I needed to get those those volunteers first, identify if we have volunteers first before I could do the official assignment. So I will begin those assignments now. You will receive an invitation from Kiteworks. My contact information, both phone number and email, is in the email correspondence that I have shared out and will also be in this document. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any issues with Kiteworks or any uploads or anything from that nature. Again, I'm available and I'm a resource to you. I did not, I'm sorry, I put this in the original email, but I did not say it on the call. The deadline for these to be reviewed is May 12th. If you are running into any issues and arriving at that date, just reach out to me again. We have room and ability to either make some adjustments at the end in terms of reassigning if necessary. So I do understand our work and some of your work. Things happen, and so please do not again feel hesitate to reach out to me if you're running into an obstacle in terms of the review. With that, I will stay on for a few minutes in case anybody thinks of anything. But thank you all for your support in this process and your commitment. This is volunteer. I know that this is a very a long review, if you will, but it's really appreciated. Just to give you all some size and scope, we served in this past fiscal year 1,500 issued 1,500 scholarships to students through pre-college programming, which is it just gave me goosebumps just thinking about that. And that's in addition to, and we have so many, but that's still coming off of COVID a little bit. Because the beginning of those programs were still in the summer that they didn't even run at their full capacity. So this is um this is really the first summer that we are in full swing from a programming standpoint. Campus is being allowed to have students on campus again. There were some barriers that campuses faced or program coordinators faced on that level because they weren't allowed to have students on the campus and things of that nature. So this has definitely been a journey for them, and I'm really excited for the outcome for this year's cycle. Well, thank you, everyone. I will be in touch with you all soon.